Welcome, boys. This is going to be a short video on how to hook up the timing light and the tachometer to your Volkswagen Beetle. This is for Big Steve, but anybody else who wants to watch, you can learn from this too. So here's a tachometer. I want to make sure your wire's out of the way of your exhaust or anything else hot or any other moving parts that could cause damage. So I have mine looped around this bumper, up over through there, and then attached where it needs to be. So we have the green end on the negative part of the coil, and then this black end on some sort of a ground. I have it attached to the carburetor where it's not going to interfere with the throttle or anything, any moving parts, anything like that. Next is going to be the timing gun. You can set that up. There's going to be three things you need to hook up. Positive, ground, and for the spark plug. This is going to be on cylinder number 1 as close as possible to the spark plug. So don't hook it on the coil up here. You want to hook it up down there. I'll show you once we do that. The red one, in my case, is going to be on the alternator right there. But in the case of Steve's bus, we don't have access to the alternator because it's a supercharger, so you're going to want to put this on your battery, the positive terminal. And then this can also go on some sort of ground, also on the carburetor. Okay, so this is it hooked up. I have the negative over there on the carburetor for our ground. These wires are not going to touch this, although they will be close. And then red's on the alternator. And you can see over here we have that clip for the plug wire. Plug wire is inside that little clamp thing, pretty close to the spark plug. Again, you don't want any of these wires near your exhaust. And then in this case, you can either set your timing to a degree, and then what will happen is, if you set it to that degree, as this thing spins, so let's say I have 30 degrees of timing, if I set this timing light to 30, the 0 mark is what will be visible right here at the split in the case. If you don't have that or don't want to use that, you can just set it to 0, which you could do with this car because you have every single degree here that is clearly visible. So then once it hits, so if I have it on 0, then you would see it, so whatever my timing is, let's say if it's 30 degrees advanced, then before top dead center, you would see it on the 30 here at your 3,000 RPMs. So we'll start the car, and then you'll be able to see what you're looking for on your tachometer and your timing. Hopefully you can hear me over this engine. So it's running now. You're going to want to pay attention to the 8th cylinder, and you're going to times it by 2. So as you see here, on the 8th cylinder, this is a 4-cylinder, so that's why you have to multiply by 2. According to this, it's only idling at 400 RPMs, but that's not correct. You times it by 2, and it's idling at 800 RPMs. Timing light at an idle, this is set to 0, so if the camera can pick this up, I don't know what the refresh rate is, but if you see this at all, it looks like it's close to 10 degrees static, which is probably about right at an idle. But what you really want to pay attention to on your car is, what is it at 3,000 RPM? So you're going to want to rev the engine up until it gets to 3,000 RPM, which, remember, is going to be at 1,500. So you're going to hold the idle at 1,500 times 2, essentially, and then check the timing. And then we'll see how much timing we have. Now you can see where the timing is going to be. And in this case, it's going to be about 40 degrees because I have the vacuum advance hooked up. Now, as you saw, that was 40 degrees advance with the vacuum advance. Your vehicle may or may not have a vacuum advance. Steve's does not. So, in the case of that then, okay, now I have this capped off. You'll see the vacuum advance. Hopefully you saw that. That was at 32 degrees advanced. So in the case of my vacuum advance, you always set that 3,000 RPM to 32 degrees. 30 or 32 or 20, somewhere between 28 and 32, I go 32. You have to set it like that because that is maximum mechanical advance. When this car is full-ored, there is no vacuum. So the mechanical advance maximum will be set to 32. However, while it is driving and you are accelerating, you will need more than 32 degrees, and that's why when this is hooked up and I am setting that idle, or I'm setting the timing. All right, hopefully you can hear me now. So, like you saw, 32 degrees, maximum mechanical advance. In the case of your car, Steve, or anybody else that doesn't have vacuum advance, you want to set that at just 32 degrees, you're fine. That's all you can get mechanically anyway. I don't know if your centrifugal thing can do that on acceleration more or not. I don't think so. But in any case, because this is vacuum, as I'm slowly accelerating, or not full throttle essentially, I will have vacuum advance, and it'll advance it to 40 degrees, which is perfect for acceleration. That's how you don't get your stumble. And then, if it's floored, maximum mechanical advance is set to 32 and no higher. And that's the way that's supposed to be. So, that's how you hook this up. The only other thing I'm going to show you is how your mixture, essentially. So in the case of this carburetor, you have this big screw and the small screw below it. So you need two different size screwdrivers, a little one and a big one. And this is how you want to set it. So your big screw, your idle, small screw is mixture. In, i.e. clockwise, is lean. Out, i.e. counterclockwise. Left, if you will, is rich. So you adjust your idle screw first. If you are in fact changing that, so you want to go in. So you essentially you can skip all this unless you're trying to actually set it, and you know this is a brand new carburetor and all that jazz. But then after this, essentially, so you're going to essentially back it out a whole bunch and set it rich. So it's going to start. It's not going to run that great, but it'll run. And then you're going to go inwards or outwards, wherever you need to be until you get that idle between 800 and 900 RPM. Once you set your idle first, then you're going to adjust the mixture in until it starts to lean out. It'll sound like it's going to stall. You then start to back it out till it smooths out again, and then back it out 1/4 of a turn. And once you get that fine-tuned, then you will adjust your idle if necessary, because any adjustment in mixture will change the idle. So you want to do idle first, then the mixture. That's going to change your idle, so then you go back to change the idle one last time. And then you want to be idling essentially between 800 and 900 RPM. You can split the difference at about 850. That's fine. Or 900 if you want a little bit more at ease to take off and accelerate. You can set it closer to 900. That's really up to you. Okay, I hope this helps. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for watching, boys. Peace.